Today we are talking about the best Sony lenses for wedding photographers. I am Taylor Jackson. I am a wedding and portrait photographer from about an hour outside of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I've been doing wedding photography for about 17 years now. It's a very long time. Throughout this video, I'm going to talk to you about the best lenses for wedding photography, as well as at the end, I'm going to put a bonus secret lens. It is maybe my favorite lens for the entire system, but that goes a little bit outside of weddings too, but we'll get to that in a minute. Today we're going to be going to a real wedding day environment as well as a portrait shoot. I feel like the portrait shoot is a little bit more of a controlled environment, so I'm actually able to show you the differences between the lenses. As you can see in front of me, most of these lenses are prime lenses. What a prime lens is, it means it does not zoom. This lens here is the exception. We're gonna talk all about all of these lenses throughout the video. The reason that I prefer prime lenses is for the aesthetic qualities that when you're shooting at something like 1.4 or 1.8, the look and feel of the image is very, very cinematic. And while I would love to use them all the time, there is a time and a place for a zoom lens like this 70-200. The first lens we're gonna talk about is the 85mm F1.4 G Master, and it is my favorite lens. We've jokingly called this the introvert lens, where it gives you a little bit more telephoto. It's a telephoto portrait lens, and it allows you to get into scenes and environments without actually walking close to them and placing yourself there. The other added benefit is, as a wedding photographer, is that I can let moments happen naturally, and they're much less aware of my existence over here. When you have a lens like this on your camera, people definitely notice you when you're in the room. When you have a camera and a lens like this, it's very compact, very small, and there's a pretty good chance that you walk into a room, people aren't really going to just immediately freeze up and know that there's a camera on them. So you're able to get more photojournalistic moments within that environment a heck of a lot easier. And beyond all of this, physically, it's a lot easier to carry something like this around than a larger camera kit, especially when you're out there on a wedding day. It might be an 8, 10, 12, 14-hour day. And the smaller you can make your kit, I personally find the better. If you're dealing with a cluttered background, say for instance our studio, a little bit embarrassing to show you this, and the distracting elements could be anything. You could be walking into a getting ready location and there's hair and makeup happening and just lots of distracting elements all over, or this could be during a first dance and a groomsman could be in the background on his cell phone. And if you can just make those all disappear into a very nice, pleasing, out of focus background, it's going to make your images a heck of a lot better and a lot more professional without you having to go in and actually clean the room or tell the groomsman to get off his phone. That you can just kind of work within the elements that you're given and make the best possible photos. And then I would say maybe the main benefit, or the reason that this lens exists, is for portraits. So close portraits like this, mid-distance portraits, it really creates an amazing look and feel to the image that you can't really get from any other lens. We have arrived at the wedding day. First up, getting ready photos. So let's head into the day with our Sony lenses. Now, you might be saying to yourself, the Sony 24-70 f2.8 G Master includes most of the focal lengths of my primes in one lens. Why don't I just use that? Honestly, it's just personal preference. The 24-70 f2.8 is also a fantastic tool. For me, I love the feeling that these prime lenses give. I spend a lot of my day shooting them wide open at f1.4. It gives a dreaminess to the day and the ability to quickly isolate subjects within a sometimes chaotic environment. That said, there is definitely a convenience to the 24-70. It is up to you to decide which best suits your artistic vision and your approach to the day. Now, in a room of this size or in a getting ready environment, you might find that 85 is maybe a little bit too long. I feel like in a room of this size, I'm quite comfortable with it, but if it was anything smaller, say a hotel room that you're getting ready in, you might want something like this 55mm f1.8. And as you can see already, there's quite a significant difference in size. The benefit is, obviously you can hide a little bit more in a room, so you walk into that room, people aren't really gonna notice you as the photographer. Obviously, you talk to them, tell them you're there, but people are quickly going to forget that you're there with a camera pointing it at them. I love the rendering that comes out of it. It is very film-esque. We shot a lot of film over the past couple of years, and this lens actually gets really, really close to that film look and feel. This 55mm lens is also quite cost-effective compared to other lenses, and it is a lens that you could use this lens all day. That if I went to a wedding day, and this would be, I would say, my #1 choice, that I would love an 85 as my main lens. However, there are going to be some instances that 85 is going to be a little bit too long, and a 55 will pretty much get you through an entire day. Now, while it would be great to photograph an entire wedding day on that 55 or on an 85, realistically, it's just a little bit too telephoto. You need something like this 24mm G Master to really make sure that you're covered in all environments on a wedding day. You walk into a space like this, yes, you can do a few photos with the 85 or the 55, but what's really going to capture the space and everything going on is the 24. This wide-angle prime lens is an f1.4 aperture, and that means that regardless of how low the light on a wedding day gets, you'll always be able to get the image you're after. The 24mm f1.4 G Master is also the smallest in its class and has almost no distortion. A wide-angle lens like this has bailed me out of countless situations where I have to do group photo in a smaller environment. I also really love using a 24mm lens for photos of the couple coming back down the aisle like this. Also, these were all shot at f1.4. Another reason I really love this lens that I actually only discovered a few years ago is I really love the look of wide-angle portraits when shot at an aperture like f1.4. The look and the feel from that image really just, it's something that's completely different from an 85. And when you are shooting two camera bodies, it's so fast to just switch between the two and get two very, very different looks. Next up, the Sony 70-200 f2.8 G Master. A 70-200 is also an incredibly important part of your wedding photography kit. I use it a lot for, I'm gonna say pretty much every single ceremony that I find myself in, I am using this lens. If it's a smaller destination wedding and maybe there's 10, 12 guests, maybe I can get away with the 85. Anything larger than that, I'm always on a 70-200. The reason that I love the 70-200 is because it allows me to stay out of the view of guests, so I don't have to be directly in front of a guest in order to get the shot that I want. The f2.8 aperture means I can use it really within any darker church environment that I would ever need, and also get a lot of variation as well, that when you're at 70, that image looks a lot different than an image at 200. And I'm able to get a lot of different frames very quickly without moving my feet and being a distraction in the environment. The Sony 70-200 f2.8 G Master also has a very close focusing distance, and the V2 is super light. With 4 linear motors, the focus is as fast as the latest cameras can handle. Another time the 70-200 becomes incredibly valuable is in a situation like this. Say for instance, this table is full of individuals here. I don't really want to park myself right here in order to do photos of Clarissa over at the podium. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go somewhere over here where Tim is at, and I will be shooting from over here so I'm not blocking the view of any guests. And another benefit of this is that when you are kind of eye line with people, if the couple is sitting at the end of the table here, there's a pretty good chance that whoever is giving the speech is going to be looking at them right here. So I'm able to get more of a direct eye line rather than kind of that side eye line. I feel like this is more of a true memory to what the couple will actually remember. They were sitting there, they were watching the speech. And if I'm able to get something non-obtrusively that really captures exactly what they were experiencing, obviously it's going to be a better photo for the gallery. Now, as I promised, there is a bonus lens, a lens that I have used the most, I would say, out of any of the Sony lenses, and it is the 35 G Master. I love this lens specifically, so for a wedding day, it's an incredible lens. You can get a number of photos. I would still like to have an 85 or a 70-200, something a little bit longer, but if you're into photojournalism and you really want kind of those photojournalistic moments, I would say a 35 might be the way to go for most of the day. I think a lot of people would agree with me. The benefit you get from photographing with a 35 is that you really feel like you're part of the scene. That if you're actually in the scene and you're photographing with a 35, it's very true to how people remember it, and the images just feel a lot more true to life, whereas something with an 85 maybe starts to feel a little bit more editorial. It's an f1.4 lens, which means it's going to be great in lower light environments, which is pretty much every wedding day, and you'll also get that really nice depth of field where the subject is in that nice crisp focus and it just rolls off into beautiful cinematic nothingness in the background. Beyond just speaking to wedding days, the 35 is my favorite run and gun style lens. So if we're out there making travel content, this is usually on my camera for both photos and videos. So as far as an investment goes, this lens is very versatile, not only in your weddings, but also just in every other aspect of photo or video that you will find yourself in with your Sony camera. And then a great addition to the Sony 35mm f1.4 G Master lens is the close focusing distance that you can definitely use this for ring shots or to get engravings on different items throughout the wedding day and not carry an additional lens with you. That's it. I hope you found this video helpful. I wish you both luck and fun on your wedding photography journey. It is an incredible career that is rewarding on so many levels. You are creating art that will be cherished by our couples for a lifetime, and honestly, most of the days, pretty darn fun. Till next time, thanks for joining me. I am Taylor Jackson.